grey toning the book, because obviously the book's black and white, and it always was and has been. That's a lot of work for one artist, and he couldn't just keep up the schedule, so Robert and Tony agreed to part ways. And Robert just emailed me one day and just said, "Do you want to draw my little zombie book that I'm doing?" And here we are now.
But the covers up to issue 24. 24.
Yeah.
And what was your relation with him? Him doing the covers, you doing the interiors?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I was quite happy with him doing that for the time being. Robert always said he's going to do it for a limited time, and then you can take over, which I was more than happy to do. I knew at the time that, I bought him no grudge because he wanted to keep doing the covers. And I saw him a couple of times at various American cons, and we got on fine. So it was good, it's great, it was fine. And then he decided to give it up after 24, and that's when I took it all over.
It's good to know. No hard. Very interesting, because according to the laws of physics, a convex mirror can only represent a image like
it
this.
should be upside down. Well, where's the fun in that, though?
Because, to represent an image like this, the object had to be very close from the mirror. And so, from this cover, it puts the reader not from the side of the survivors, but from the walkers looking at the survivors. How this idea came out?
Yeah, obviously I thought about that. Obviously.
Did you pick him to work with you? It was your decision.
Well, way back we did a story arc called All Out War, and the idea, I don't know if it happened over here, but the idea in the States was the comic was going to come out bi-monthly. So that's basically writing and drawing 40 plus pages, 2 covers per month. Now I'm fast. That's the reason I did a monthly comic book, and I've never missed a deadline in my life. But I'm not fast enough to do 2 issues a month. Not pencil and ink, which is my natural state. I am a natural all-rounder. I like to pencil and ink. So I said to Robert, we were trying to work out solutions of how we were going to do this, and I said, well, the only way to do it is to get an inker for these 12 issues, 12 issues in 6 months. So, and I was a big fan of Stefano's work anyway. He used to ink Michael Lark on Daredevil and various other things before that. So we asked him, and he amazingly agreed, which was great. So he worked with us on those first 12 issues, and then after that, it seemed to be working. So I said, and at the time I knew I had another project imminently coming up, which was a French comic book called Vampire State Building, and I knew that was going to involve a lot of work because he hates French comic books. They want to see that detail. So I knew I wouldn't be able to, not rush it, but I knew I wouldn't be able to produce it as quickly as The Walking Dead. So I just suggested we keep Stefano on while I did Vampire State Building in my spare time. So that's the reason, we just carried on working together for such a long time. I must admit, and Stefano knows this, I was never 100% comfortable with doing pencils because it's just not my natural state. So I prefer inking, that's how I am, that's what I am. So when we got to issue 193, which has just come up, I went back for the final issue, went back to inking, and I probably had more fun on that issue as a piece of work than I did than I had for years, because it was so great to be getting back to how I prefer to work. But like I say, don't get me wrong, Stefano did a great job, but I am my own best thinker. So that hence the 3 false covers that were produced to convince people that 193 was not going to be the last one, because already rumours were going around, because we were reaching the end of the 4th compendium. People were saying, oh, when are they going to finish now, so almost to stop those rumours, we produced these covers. It's interesting. There's a lot of stuff you can read into those last 3 covers. Do we kill Carl? Is that Carl's grave? Who knows? I just really like that last. It was nice to do the final cover, if you want to call it the final cover. It was the only cover that wasn't even Dave Stewart, the colorist of the covers, never coloured the last cover. Yeah, he coloured the other 2, but he never did that one. Years in planning, believe it or not. It was funny, because I think Robert and I were almost thinking in parallel at the time, because one thing Robert has never said in that big editorial thing he put in the back of the book was, about 4 years ago I emailed Robert and said, I could really do with an ending to this. I think we've gone on long enough. Now, and I said, I don't care if you want to end it in 6 months' time or in 10 years' time, but I'd like to know what number we're finishing on. I just want to see an end, because we'd spent 11 years by that time saying, we could go to issue 200, we could go to issue 300, let's hope we go to issue 500. And for a while you accept that, you go, yeah, let's do that. And then after multiple issues, you start thinking, oh no, I can't go to issue 500. And then you start realising how old you'll be if you went, even if I went to issue 300, I would be nearing 60. And I was thinking, I can't be walking on The Walking Dead until I'm 60. So I want to do other stuff. So that was my main reason of emailing Robert. What I didn't realise was Robert's storylines were coming to this conclusion, and he was also thinking along those same lines. Like, he'd got the issues, the whole thing basically planned out to a conclusion, and he was realising that it was going to naturally lead to, issue 193. So we agreed on basically completing the 4th compendium. I think at the time I was probably 4 or 5 issues into that 4th compendium, if you take it as collections. So, and I was happy with that. I could see the sense, I could see the logic, I could see it being a nice completion of a run, and you had a nice... I'm a guy that likes to put things in boxes and likes to be nice and tidy and everything. So the idea of 4 nice, neat compendiums, and that's it, the end, really appealed to my slightly obsessive nature about keeping things nice.